Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. So in this video, I'm not going to be painting a lot. I want to share a tip with you on how to embellish or bring back a painting that you're not particularly fond of. I'll show you other examples. I've been playing around a little bit this morning, but here's a painting that I have. And when I was doing it, I wasn't feeling anything for it. And then I went out and I went out. I didn't go out. I stayed here. But I went ahead and added these things, and to me it destroyed the whole feel of the painting because I wanted it to be, I wanted these lines to be delicate and I wanted the flowers to stay a little bit abstract. So it got me thinking, I have quite a bit of stencils. These are just like not even 1% of what I own, and they're not getting much love. And I have used stencils in the past with watercolor. I like to use the stencils to lift some of the color and create some cool effects, maybe in the background, or even to enhance a main color in the painting. But in doing so, I've also realized that I can also add paint with the stencils. So here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you. I just pulled out a few because like I said, I've been playing with other paintings. I love the integration of beautiful fluid, soft, abstract background with more structural elements. This always attracted me. Of course, it goes with being in love with contrast. So of course, if you pair something more of a graphic design, like letters, I have some more here, even these kinds of things, right? This is a Patty stencil. I've got another one. This one here I use a lot. There's another one too that I've used a lot, but these make great buildings in the background. Maybe not for this one because this painting is quite small, but just to show you a few examples, I'm gonna play with this guy here. Now I have two things I want to do here. I want to kind of minimize the thickness of these branches. I find that they're very distracting, and I want to bring out these flowers that are still quite abstract. There's only 4. That bothers me too. I do like odd numbers as opposed to even numbers. So before I do anything, I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to work these gray branches back into the painting. Like, I'm going to try and blend them a little bit. They're not going to disappear completely, of course, because, well, they've been there for a while, but at least if they're a little bit lighter, they might be less visible. I mean, in certain areas, if I don't have a lot of it, I can actually fade it in. So I'm counting on this, and if it muddies the flower, I really don't mind at all. But already, let me just zoom back in. You can see that these have faded quite considerably. So I'm gonna keep on doing that. Now, I don't have a good brush to scrub at paint that's been there for a couple of days, but like I said, I don't want them to disappear completely. If I have kind of like a ghost effect about them, I'll be happy. So essentially, this is re-wetting a lot of the background, so I will have some strong edges. And again, that's another thing that I can rework with the aid of a stencil. Now I do have here that little bit inside that flower. I'm going to keep on doing that. Now this is going to add a lot of gray tone to that yellow green or green gold that I have here, but I really don't mind that at all. If need be, I can always add a little bit more color. Now you see how it greatly improves as opposed to here. So that's essentially my goal. And I could even grab that color that I have right here. I do believe this was phthalo turquoise, if I'm not mistaken. So I can take that opportunity to add a little bit of that, right? Like so. Whoops. Well, that's kind of cool. And that's going to help me as well when I start doing the stenciling, because the more paint you have, of course, the more the effect is going to be visible. If you have a light color, that's a different story. Now, this one I find is fine. I don't mind it. So I'm gonna leave that area alone. And the one that I really want to fade is this one here. That one is way too thick for my taste. And so I'm going to, oops, I'm trying to preserve the border. Out of frustration, I removed the tape because honestly, this was destined for my rejected pile that I have in a drawer. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and do something with that, because I hate throwing things out, especially when you have worked not quite hard, but you know, you've worked at the thing, and it would have been fun to have some kind of a result, something that you're proud of, that you're happy with. And again, you know, I'm not creating masterpieces here. I just want to have something that if I look at it, I can say, oh, I like this one. Here, instead of adding that phthalo turquoise, I'm going to add green gold. Just, oh, that's nice. Maybe make everything pop, and maybe kind of like have another flower here. Now that's gonna look weird for now, but we can play with that later. Here, I'm liking that. I want to go right up to the edge all around here. I'm gonna leave that space here. And just fade that a little bit. I'm okay here. Maybe just fade it a little bit. Same here. That mix of these two, when they meet, it's so gorgeous. And I might add a tad of that green gold again here. Just lightly, just so that I have that green gold kind of like everywhere in, you know, 3 different places and not just one. All right. Okay, so already I feel that this is looking much better. Now I need to let that dry. I'm going to just remove this one here. This needs to dry. Of course, if you're trying to remove the color when through the stencil, if it's not dry, it's going to be more laborious, and also you might even ruin the paper, and you don't want that. So I'm just going to add a little bit of turquoise here. I'm kind of liking the movement of this piece. Adding a little bit of turquoise down here. And trying to blend the edges. Let's see here. like so. And maybe drop a little bit of gold. Not gold, but green gold in that spot right here. Alright, so now I need to test my patience again. This has to dry, unfortunately. Okay, so my painting is dry, and I picked out the stencil, which I think is fun. I like letters, and I also like the line going through here. I think it's going to be a nice addition. One word though about this technique. Of course, I'm using a baby wipe. This has probably chemicals in it, and it might react with the paint long term. So it might not be necessarily a piece that I want to sell. But so just be mindful of that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the stencil where I think I want it. And I'm going to try and remove the letters or rub over the area where I don't have the flower. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this better. So already you can see that that green has faded, and I have that green on my baby wipe. So I'm not rubbing forcefully. I'm being kind of like gentle. You don't want to rip the paper. You know, it might pill on you if you do, if you're being too rough. So proceed with caution. Now, also I'm using a stencil that has little things that pop up. So I gotta be doubly careful. Now that line I love, so I'm definitely gonna pull that color off. And maybe on the side here, a little bit. And let's see here, I think I'm gonna go all the way down here. Of course, if you have small openings, it might be a little bit tougher to get through them with a baby wipe. All right, so I'm going to pull that off so you can see. I forgot a space. I forgot, I didn't go through this very well, but you can see the letters right here in the background. I might go back. Let's see here. I've got that line going through here. I'm gonna go back in there because I didn't pull out some of those letters. There we go. Much better. See how interesting this is? I love the contrast of, you know, like I said, something very fluid, very abstract, very soft with the hard edges of the letters. I think it's just fun. I love it. I love, love, love it. Now, I'm gonna go here. I like the numbers as well. So I might pull the numbers. Like so. And I love the fact that it's subtle, where of course where the lighter color is, it looks more natural that way to me. And let's see here. So I'm gonna position my stencil like this, but this time I don't want the line. But I do want, oops, the letters here at the bottom. Oops, I moved the stencil, it's okay. There we go. Ah, how fun. Isn't that cool? I'm gonna do some more here at the bottom. And this time around I'm going to do this in the middle, or maybe a little bit off to the side here, like so. I'm going to grab those numbers as well. Whoops. I'm not seeing the whole thing here. All right. All right. Super cool. Love it. All right, so up until now, I've done a lot of lifting, but I can also add some paint with the stencil. So I'm going to show you here. I have in my palette leftover paint that I use on this piece. I know they're the colors because I use them all the time. I'm going to take a spot that is fairly clean, and I'm just going to pick up the color. And you don't want to rub at it. This time around, you just want to go through, let's see, I can pick a spot here. You just want to go through the openings of the stencil without rubbing, just so that it tints those letters that you want. And try to use a baby wipe that is not too wet. Now I went at it very subtly, but you can see that I've added some colors. If you try to do this with a brush, that's not going to work because the brush will be too loaded with water, and of course it's going to get under the stencil and the letters that you're going to have are all going to be muddied. Trust me, I tried it. I have this leaf stencil. Of course I could paint those, but I could also remove that leaf motif right here. So again, I'm going to grab the baby wipe. I'm going to choose a spot that I haven't used previously, and I'm going to rub gently at it. And I move the baby wipe around too. If it gets too saturated with color, you're going to end up adding instead of removing. So I think the letters and that leaf is going to be a nice contrast. There you go. Isn't that cool? And I might do just a tiny bit here. How about upside down like this? So just maybe just these 4 here. Not visible a lot, but it's there. See how cool this is? How about adding some bubbles? I like bubbles. I'm going to grab the Phthalo Cyanine Turquoise that I added in the background, and I'm going to go into a light area here, like the pink, and I'm just going to dab a little bit. So right now I'm adding, instead of lifting. Whoa! See, that's what happens when something is too wet. Now, I'm going to use a tissue, blot that out. I mean, it's not so bad. I'm probably going to leave that in. Now that I have that here, I want it somewhere else. So I'm going to remove this time around. Just a little bit. And then here I'm going to add, so I'm going to grab more of that Phthalo Turquoise. That baby wipe is a little bit is more depth than the one that I used for the letters down here, so that's why it's spread like that. Yeah, there we go. See, that's much better. I think it's a fun way to add interest to your background. I mean, I wouldn't do this all the time, but if a piece is destined for the garbage, why not play around with it? You know, just have fun. Okay, so here's a micron, big one micron 005. Now that I've had my fun with the background, it's time to address the flowers. I started adding those the lines with a 01 tip. I didn't like it. I don't want the lines too thick. I haven't done this style of doodling in such a long time. I think it's fun. But at the same time, I don't want to remove, like, I don't want to add too many lines that the pink is not flashing at us anymore, because I really like the fact that there's a lot of pink in there. I mean, I could have left them alone. I could have doodled around them. We'll see. Maybe I'll do just 2 of them. I'll definitely do this one because this one is this is the one that I added as an afterthought, the 5th one, and it's quite different than the other ones. So let me just doodle this one here. And I try to vary the direction of the lines so that it becomes more interesting, less rigid, I want to say. You know, I have like lines that have a little bit of a kink in there. I've got some that are straight. All right, so I think that looks good. Now you see what happens because I have reduced the intensity of the pink by adding the black. It recedes in the background. It recedes a little bit further away. So I don't want to do this to all the flowers because otherwise there's not going to be a contrast between the background and the flowers. So for this one, I'm just going to elongate that line here. For this one, all I'm going to do is trace some of the outline of that flower. It's not going to be always on the line where the color ends. You know, I just want to keep it interesting, but I'm also going to vary the weight of the line. And this is where they meet. And, you know, this is where the creativity comes into play. You can totally invent your own style of doodling. Make it your own. Make sure that you're having fun when you do this. I may double up some of the lines. Alright, that's the center. Now this one, this is another reason why I didn't like the piece, is that I only had one of the centers that had those dividing lines from stemming from the center outwards. So I'm not sure here how to address this, because this one is kind of like different from the other ones. I'm not sure yet, so I'm not going to worry about it for now. This style of doodling, going around and adding a contour or an outline, is not my preferred style. But you know what? Sometimes it's good to play around. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that it's not something that I particularly enjoy. Alright, so I'm gonna have to kind of have to do it to the other flowers, because otherwise this one is gonna stick up like a sore thumb. So I'm gonna try and mimic the same. Better. Yeah, so this one is gonna get the same treatment as these two. I forgot to do some double lines here. I've decided that the right side of each of these flowers is going to get double lines on the right. So let's be consistent about that. Okay, and again, those little partitions. Like so. Oops, I didn't want to carry this one right up to the edge, but that's how it ended up. Okay, excuse me. So now I have to add some lines in that one here. I'm going to do my best to leave a center that makes sense, since I don't have that black. I could add it. I will add it probably with some paint once I'm done doodling. It's alright. I think I'm going to take my gel pen, the white one, and I'm just going to add, oops, tiny dots, tiny white dots around the perimeter of the center, like this. Because it's fun. They look like studs. Maybe I should not leave a hole in the middle. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna fill up that with all the dots. I'm just gonna add a couple of dots around these two flowers. I'm gonna grab a bit of white gouache. And I'm gonna add quite a bit of water to it. I don't want to add too many, but that's kind of cool. Okay, I need to stop here. I think that the addition of all of these letters in the background, they totally work. The leaves not so much maybe. The dots were a little bit of a fail here, but I'm kind of liking this a lot. Now, before I filmed this video, I went ahead and practiced and worked on a couple of pieces that I did not like, and you will recognize one of them by its colors because they're the colors that I used for painting yesterday. I don't like these. I don't like the white that I added there, but if you look in the background here on the blue, I don't know if you can see some of the ghost. Here, I'm going to show you instead of explaining. So I used a stencil and I added color with the baby white through the stencil, and I lifted some of the colors here at the bottom with this one here. Okay, and then I added white outlines. That also does not work for me, but again, this is all experimenting and figuring out ways to incorporate my style in a repair job. I call this a repair job. So some things worked and some things don't, but that's okay, it's part of the game. Now this one, whoa, that piece, I think I had an idea in mind, and then from the get-go I knew this was not going to be something I liked, so I decided to add a whole bunch of colors and then put it in the bin for, you know, recycling. So I pulled out that piece because I thought, oh, it's got nice splashes of colors and I want to try and use this doily stencil through it, and that's what happened. It's kind of cool, it's fun. Like I said, these are pieces, you know, that were originally meant for the garbage. Maybe I'll pull this out one day and just add something and make it a painting that I like, but it was just, again, experimental. Now this piece I love. So I used another lettering stencil in the background. This is from, I believe that's what I used. Yeah, Donna Downey Studios. It's just an alphabet stencil. But I love how it looks. There's a lot going on, but I think it works. I like the introduction of that flower, which is different than all the others. But the letters in the background, oh, I just love that. And I also added some of those twigs with tiny, tiny leaves. I remember when I did more mixed media and art journaling, I used to use a lot of text paper in the background of my pieces. And so I guess I'm reverted to that also with these paintings, you know, letters, characters, symbols, big for me. I love it. There was less pressure for sure in creating or revamping this because, well, it was destined for garbage anyways, or recycling in the first place. So if I mess it up, I mess it up, no big deal. But I hope that this tip is going to be helpful to some of you. Maybe this is a good exercise to do if you're not feeling the mojo one day. Just dig up in your pile and just go wild. Go wild with your stencils, the doodling and whatnot. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, my awesome patrons, for supporting my art over at Patreon. You guys are super awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful and creative day, and I will see you tomorrow.